You know, I don't know about y'all, but I like those John Wayne movies. And you watch True Grit, and there's old John Wayne. He's sitting up there, and perhaps John wasn't the best horseman in the world, but he was a great actor. And I don't know this personally, but I bet you that John Wayne saw the true vaqueros of the West, and I bet you that he was doing his best to imitate how they looked, and that's why he had that upright posture. Now, there's some practical benefits that come from having that, what I call the John Wayne posture. And if you'll think of your upper body as if it is an outboard motor on your fishing boat, and if you've got that thing tipped up into the boat and the propeller is out of the water, you can mash on the gas all you want, nothing's going to happen. It's just going to whiz out there in the air. Well, the horse going along with his head too low, looking at the ground, and the rider leaning up over the saddle, we don't have anything to get forward motion from. But when I sat up and I assumed my John Wayne posture and I'm looking out across the horizon and I'm sitting straight up, now all of a sudden my seat bones engage in on top of this saddle. And I've got a seat bone on each side of his spine. So that when I ask him to go forward, that horse just goes forward. And just sitting up there on top of him, straight up and down, my eyesight looking out. I have to remind myself of this all the time, because any of us that get to riding by ourselves too much will tend to do this. We'll get to looking at the top of our horse's head, and we tend to lean forward when we're looking down at our horse's head. Whereas if I'm setting up and looking out, my eyesight is out, I've got a lot better chance of communicating with my horse if I'm in this posture. That's why that I think it's so important that we sit and have our eyesight out in the distance in front of us. Now here's how it relates, and you'll be able to relate to this right away. When you drive your car, do you look at the hood of the car? No, you look out down the road, and because you're looking out down the road, you see red lights and you see brake light, whatever it is. Half mile down the road, you simply let off of the gas of the car, maybe if you need to put the brake on, and it's a non-event. But if you're driving along looking at the hood of your car or looking at your phone, and you wake up like this and there's a brake light right there in front of you, but that car's already stopped and you don't have enough distance to get stopped, now you're going to crash. So if I'm looking at my horse like this, and if I'm going along up there with my head like this, and I'm out on the trail ride like this, and all of a sudden a rabbit gets up here, I'm on the ground right here before I knew what happened, because my horse just simply moved from the rabbit jumping up. But if I'm looking out and I'm going, going along, when you ever thought about this? When you're watching a rodeo and it's time for the saddle broncs or the bareback horses, where are those guys' heads at when they come out of that chute? They're laying back there on the tail. Why do you think they get back there like that? So they can stay on that horse. That's why. It's not just a game, but if we're leaning forward, we're vulnerable. Our center of gravity is too far forward. All the horse has to do is move a little bit, and we find ourselves off of the horse. Also, with this John Wayne posture, when I want to turn, I'll simply look and see my right shoulder get behind my left shoulder, and everything in me is telling this horse to turn right. When I want to straighten up, I'll just straighten up and see him go straight. When I want to turn to the left, my left shoulder gets behind my right one, and everything in me is telling this horse to turn. So the clear communication that takes place by having that John Wayne posture, setting on your seat bones, and if you focus your attention on your upper body and what it's doing, you're going to be very pleasantly surprised. Maybe you already know this, but you might be surprised of how well and how attentive your horse is to that. It just makes sense right away. You don't have to teach a horse that. When he feels you come off over here like this, he goes over there like that. So he's ready, to make that turn. He's ready to go straight. He's just ready because you're communicating with him in a way that makes sense. So anyway, just some simple techniques that I think will help you out quite a bit. So I hope you enjoyed that.